they appear to be.
Sure. Well, we are seeing allegations of federal crimes related to receiving illegal campaign contributions through straw donors from foreign entities. So people would pose and say, hey, I'm an American citizen, I'm giving you this money, when actually it was from a foreign government, one of which is Turkey. And then we also see an allegation that the campaign received upwards of $10,000 in public funds that were supposed to go to the government, but actually were diverted to the campaign. So that's another big allegation. Another thing we were expecting, that Turkish officials gave him and his inner circle upgrades on Turkish Airways, flying to France, China, Sri Lanka, India, Hungary, and Turkey itself. So a lot of details of the perks that Adams and his inner circle received from the Turkish government, Turkish officials, or people close to Erdogan, not just the money going to his campaign, although that is probably the most serious charge, but also perks surrounding, lifestyle things like getting a free upgrade of flying first class to foreign countries. So a lot of details, and we are still going through this indictment, but we can probably expect to hear sentencing guidelines shortly. And of course, Adams continues to deny those charges. We're expecting to hear from him any minute now. He's going to be giving a press conference.
Yeah, what's remarkable, Anna, to me, is that the indictment accuses the mayor of this corruption even before his inauguration. They accuse the mayor the federal government accuses the mayor of accepting and seeking illegal campaign contributions to his 2021 mayoral campaign, as well as other things, value from foreign nationals. And it continued throughout his inauguration. The indictment says that he began preparing for his next election by planning on soliciting more illegal contributions and then granting requests from those who had supported his 2021 mayoral campaign.
That's exactly right. And it all boils down to bribery, fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations for that 2021 campaign. And then, as you just said, looking ahead to his next run. And he would have been facing, and at this time is facing, a June 2025 race, and it's a competitive one. So you have 4 other Democrats who have already thrown their hat in the ring, who want to take on the role of mayor. So there is so much going on, so much politics, and the U.S. attorney in the Southern District has been working on this case for probably at least a year. And as we know, last November, the head of Adams' campaign fundraising team, her home was raided. Also, the home of his staffer who handled relations with foreign entities. Her home was raided, and back in November, his electronic devices were taken by federal investigators back then. And again, this morning, that's 11 months later, there were upwards of a dozen federal agents who raided Gracie Mansion, according to his lawyer, and again took his phone. His lawyer is saying we would have happily handed that over and that was all for show. Our WCBS cameras were there at Gracie Mansion early this morning at 6 a.m. when those federal investigators showed up at his home. And now we expect to see him down in giving a press conference. We also have a team down in Lower Manhattan, right by the courthouse, where this indictment was unsealed in court this morning, just a few minutes ago.
All right, let's, Anna, just stand by for a moment while we bring in attorney Rebecca Roiphe, who's joining us now to talk a little bit about this. Rebecca, the allegations in this indictment are wide-ranging, and they are very, very, very specific. As Anna mentions, the investigation began over a year ago. And what I find absolutely remarkable is not only what Anna pointed out, which is the fact that the mayor is accused of accepting illegal donations to his campaign and having gifts bestowed upon him, including discounted Turkish airline flights to France, Turkey, China, India, and Hungary. I always thought it was weird, being a born and raised New Yorker, that the New York City mayor was traveling to all of these countries and these cities. Oftentimes he would say, in his role as mayor of New York City, not as just as a vacation, but also this, Rebecca, which the feds accused the mayor of circumventing the city's campaign finance donation limits by funneling large donations through several employees, which we've started to see the fallout of that as people have either resigned or have been caught up in this dragnet of the feds. And it says that the mayor defrauded New York City by illegally using straw donations to reap matching public funds. Describe that word defraud, because I think if you're a New Yorker, you're like, how did this affect me as a New Yorker? The mayor's defrauding me as a citizen of this city?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's what corruption is. Essentially, it's depriving the citizens of New York of the kind of government that they deserve, which is honest services provided and, honest government. And so that is, in fact, a kind of fraud. But yes, as you said, this is like a far-reaching indictment. It covers a great deal of conduct. It's bribery, conspiracy, election contribution fraud, and all of these charges through this what seems like, if they can prove it, a fairly elaborate scheme.
And this has, there is a safety aspect to what the feds are alleging here, Rebecca, which is specifically that the mayor pressured the city's fire department to approve the opening of a new high-rise consulate for Turkey in Midtown Manhattan in time for a visit by the Turkish president. And he did so even though he knew that the building had failed a fire inspection. The indictment says it was his turn to repay the Turkish official, referencing the mayor.
Right. I mean, and this is a perfect example of what we were just talking about. Why is this a fraud? Why does it matter if the citizens of New York are deprived of honest leadership? And the reason why is because this is a public trust. The mayor is a public official who owes a public trust to the people, and this is the kind of way in which that public trust is violated. And by doing so, he puts people at risk or deprives them of what they deserve, which is a mayor who is looking out for their interests rather than taking a segment of the population who has lined his pockets and providing them with whatever it is that those people want at the expense of the citizens of this city.
The other thing I'm curious about, Rebecca, and you can perhaps share with our viewers your perspective on this, is how the mechanisms involved in bringing an indictment, a federal indictment, against a powerful politician like a mayor or any citizen. It strikes me that the feds have a very, very, very good track record and a good conviction rate. They don't just bring frivolous lawsuits the way some small town prosecutor or DA might. When they're going after somebody, the investigation takes quite a bit of time, and we know this investigation has been ongoing for almost a year. And so just describe for us how that happens.
So absolutely, the federal government will initiate an investigation, and that investigation goes on for a very long time. In recent years, the Supreme Court has in fact narrowed the bribery statutes and related statutes having to do with corruption. So you know that if the federal government is going forward, federal investigators and prosecutors are going forward, they have that in mind, which means that they have thought of and addressed these narrow definitions in order to make sure that this particular indictment will survive challenges in the court. And so, in addition to having to develop these facts over a long period of time through subpoenas and through, as you said, the many executed search warrants and seized phones of public officials that we've been hearing about so far, they build the case slowly and they build it up from the lower people involved to those at the very top, like the mayor.
All right, folks, if you are just joining us here at CBS News 24/7, we are expecting New York City Mayor Eric Adams to address reporters, to address the citizens of this city after a federal indictment, which was just unsealed this morning, which alleges that the mayor engaged in bribery and alleges that he engaged in corrupt dealings with governments of other countries, including specifically the government of Turkey. So Mayor Eric Adams is expected to speak any moment now. We've got cameras and had have had cameras in front of Gracie Mansion all morning long. The mayor last night spoke to reporters suggesting that he was being targeted because he was doing the business of New York City. But of course, as you just heard from Rebecca Roife, our attorney and our contributor at CBS News, the federal government, when they bring an indictment, these investigations take quite a bit of time before they are actually, before someone is indicted. And the fact that the mayor of New York City has been indicted, and by the way, folks, it's the first time, and you can fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe it is the first time in New York City's 400-year history that a mayor of New York City has been indicted by the federal government. And we've had some humdingers of mayors in this city over the course of 400 years. So Rebecca Roife is standing by. We also have Anna Schechter, who's also standing by to talk about this. So Anna, you've been going through the indictment. Take us through some of the details that we may have missed in our just earlier discussion.
Sure. Well, there are even photos of the Bentley suite in the St. Regis, Istanbul, that prosecutors say Mayor Adams enjoyed while he was visiting Turkey. And he paid about $600, but it was a value of about $7,000 to stay for a couple of nights in this luxurious place. So a lot of interesting details about these perks. We already talked about the upgrades to, free business class flights to Turkey, France, China, and other countries. Those flights are very expensive. And so that is a perk, and that is seen by the federal government as an illegally accepting this money. So not just dollar amounts that were paid to the campaign, upwards of multiple thousands of dollars in $5,000 increments here and there. We've seen sent from Turkish officials to straw donors who then contributed to the campaign. So it was kind of, I don't want to say elaborate, but it was a well thought out scheme, prosecutors allege, to get those funds to the Adams campaign during his bid for mayor in 2021. And what's interesting is that it looks like the prosecutors were looking at that going back even more than a year. So this is a long time coming. This is something that Damian Williams, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, has been working on for quite some time. Generally, these U.S. attorneys don't bring charges like this until they are ready. They take their time. The first time reporters covering this story, the first time we got a whiff of this was November 2nd of 2023, when the homes were raided of two of his aides who handled campaign finance and dealings with foreign governments, including Turkey. We also know that this prosecutors were looking not just at Turkey, but at other countries, Israel, Uzbekistan, China, so campaign contributions from those countries as well. But Turkey was really the focus of their investigation and their probe, where they were able to obtain these receipts for the hotels, for example, the St. Regis, Istanbul, the receipts for those flights on Turkish Airways, multiple flights going around the world. Sometimes the mayor flying, according to the indictment, on business class flights, and then members of his inner circle also receiving these flights that they didn't pay for. Vlad?
All right, stand by, folks. Let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi, who's joining me now with more. Caroline, you and I were earlier this morning on CBS Mornings talking about what could potentially be in this indictment. And as you just heard from Anna there, the indictment is very, very specific, including tracking the mayor's movements in foreign countries, specifically when he stayed, for example, in Istanbul, in Turkey, where he stayed at the St. Regis Hotel there in what is described as the Bentley suite at the St. Regis Hotel. That suite normally costs $7,000 a night. The mayor only paid $600. So when the mayor expresses his innocence, and of course he is innocent until he's proven guilty, but when you have those receipts, it's really, really, really difficult to build a defense.
Yeah, absolutely, Vlad. And what the defense will be here, as we've seen in other cases of bribery for politicians, is that, bribery is a pretty difficult charge to make out. There has to be a very specific quid pro quo, and that is, a tit for tat. And the government will have to prove that the money was made in exchange for a very specific reason. And one of those reasons we see laid out here in the indictment is this sort of fast tracking for the certificate of occupancy for the Turkish government, for this building, this consulate in Midtown Manhattan, that high-rise building, really putting the pressure campaign on the New York City Fire Department to get those clearances, even when perhaps there were some safety concerns. So, I think the defense will be that this is sort of politics as usual. You sort of need to keep people happy. You can do favors for people, as long as it's not, as I said, a specific quid pro quo. But what he's going to have to worry about here is there are other charges here besides bribery. 5 counts here laid out very specifically in a 57-page indictment, some of which are merely accepting illegal campaign contributions from foreign governments like Turkey. Also, I would note there's a pretty devastating allegation that he used straw donations to his campaign and then used the NYC matching program to get over $10 million in illegal campaign contributions. So, this defense of, well, this is politics as usual, isn't going to work for those kinds of charges. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, Caroline, just stand by. We're seeing some movement right now. These are live pictures coming into us in New York City, and we have Natalie Dudridge from WCBS New York who's on the ground there. Maybe, Eric, we can get Natalie up to talk to us what is actually happening there. We see some people moving up to here comes the mayor. Here comes Mayor Eric Adams. He's about to make a public statement, folks. Let's bring it to you right now.
Saying that this is not a black day. This is not a black day. This is a youth thing. This is a youth thing, Eric Adams. This is not a black thing. Your policies are anti-black. You are a disgrace to all black people in this city. The things that you have done are unconscionable. You hurt our schools. Our streets are dirty. Our children are harassed by the police. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You can shush me all you want, but the people are with us. And this is not a black day. This is a justice day.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here this morning. And I want to thank the supporters of all ethnic groups that I hear, particularly the men and women of the clergy that's here, that have joined me here today. And we are not surprised. We expected this. This is not surprising to us at all. The actions that have unfolded over the last 10 months, the leaks, the commentary, the demonizing, this did not surprise us that we reached this day. And I ask New Yorkers to wait to hear our defense before making any judgments. In about 30 minutes, you're going to hear a story of the case that is in front of us. This story will come from the federal prosecutors. And I ask to wait and hear our side to this narrative. From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do. And the 300,000 plus employees of our city government will continue to do their jobs, because this is what we do as New Yorkers. It's an insult to the hardworking people of the city that anyone would say that they won't do their jobs while this case proceeds in the background. They are dedicated public servants, and I have been one of them for many years, and they're going to continue to do their job, moving the city forward every day. It's an unfortunate day, and it's a painful day. But inside of all of that, it's a day when we will finally reveal why for 10 months I have gone through this. And I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city as I've done throughout my entire professional career.
That's right.
I want to now turn it over to the person who started me on this journey, Reverend Herbert Daughtry.
Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You are our mayor, and will be to time come, still will be our mayor to all the supporters. Irrespective of what people say, he's still our mayor. Amen. As he has indicated, we started on a journey a long time ago. I encouraged him to join the police department. He did, and you know the rest of the story. So, you know, Mr. Mayor, Eric, it's one more battle we have to fight.
That's right.
There's one more battle we have to fight. And we're not about to quit. We're not about to give up. We'll be there. We'll be there to the end. God bless you. God be with you. We're going to win this fight.
And two, let me get an umbrella, put it on the device so the water won't get inside there, Robbie. Wait, hold on one moment. Hold on. You know we don't do this calling out stuff at my press conferences. When we finish speaking, we will respond to a few questions. We just want to cover that. Are you good, Robbie? I affectionately call her Mother Dukes. Has been a head of the NAACP and just a leader that has mentored me throughout my entire journey. I want to now call up Mother Hazel Dukes.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Hazel Dukes. I live in Harlem. I'm 90. Would you be quiet? Would you shut up? I'm 92 years of age. I've known this young man for over 40 years. I come with a heavy heart today, but my head is not unbowed. He's going to have his day in court, and we're going to stand by him. We came this morning to pray for him, because prayer changed things. I am asking all New Yorkers to hear his side, to let him have a day in court. Let him have his day in court, and then we can make our decisions. But we are not here today to criticize the federal government where you might be, but shush. That's all you do. That's all you brought here to criticize. Yeah. We are going to be here. We're going to be here.
I'm sorry, Mother Duke. Hey, brother, this is a 92-year-old elder. Show us some respect. A 92-year-old elder.
She stands next to you. She stands next to Carlo. As the NAACP, as the 501c3, you should not be standing for a political candidate. Stop that. You're always in favor. You are always in favor of the top.
Go ahead, Mother Duke.
Don't respond to them.
Go ahead, Mother Duke.
We are calling on all New Yorkers to listen carefully, not to the loudmouths, but listen to facts and figures. His lawyers will go and do our work for us, and we will stand with this mayor. Right.
Thank you. We want to now bring one of our amazing bishops up forward now. Bishop.
an incredibly surreal moment happening right now at Gracie Mansion right here in New York City. The Gracie Mansion being the residence of the mayor of New York. There you see the mayor surrounded by supporters, including members of the clergy, and sounds like a lot of protesters as the mayor steps up to that podium to what we expect would be an address of this federal indictment. The federal indictment that charges the mayor of New York City with bribery and fraud. This is the first time that a New York City mayor has been indicted under such circumstances by the federal government in its nearly 400-year history. I say surreal because the mayor is seemingly putting up these folks who are supportive of him without actually addressing the charges that the federal government is indicted him with. So we're keeping an eye on that when he actually does take some questions from members of the press, or he actually speaks to the charges. We'll bring that to you live. My colleague Errol Barnett is in Studio 57 right here at the CBS News Broadcast Center. He is watching all of this unfold with me. Errol, again, the federal government suggesting in a very lengthy, after a very lengthy corruption investigation, that the mayor is now under indictment for bribery and fraud, and the charges are wide-ranging, having to do with illegal monies that he received from foreign governments in exchange for favors, which is the very definition of corruption, Errol.
Yeah, Vlad, earlier you were saying that, you know, from your memory, this seems historic. It absolutely is. This is the first time a sitting mayor of New York City has been indicted. And when you look at the charges that were just unsealed a short time ago, the government is confident in its case and the charges are extensive. Thank you for your coverage. We continue here on CBS News 24/7 with every development in this fast-moving story. Right now, you're watching supporters of the mayor defend him, but on your screen, you're seeing what we are digesting at this moment, what the federal government says the sitting mayor of New York City did in illegally accepting money from foreign governments, using that to bolster his campaign and put him in a position of power here in New York City. I'm joined on set by CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schechter, who has also been watching this unfold this morning. Anna, you told us at around 7 a.m. that we should expect this, and we weren't sure if the indictment would be unsealed. Tell me the headline, the major item that jumps out to you. It seems to be the amount of money that the mayor is alleged to have misused in his campaign to become mayor.
That's right. A whopping $10 million in public funds. That's funds that were supposed to go to New Yorkers, and the government of New York City actually went to his mayoral campaign in 2021, according to federal prosecutors. That's just been unsealed in this indictment. So that is a huge number. And the way that they allege he did this was through straw donors. So it's not just hedge funds and billionaires giving him money. It's actually foreign entities tied to the Turkish government specifically giving money through other people to amass this huge amount of money. He also used a New York City matching program. So that helped balloon this number that ballooned to $10 million that he allegedly illegally received for his campaign. There's also a lot of detail in this indictment about flights that he took, business class upgrades, hotel suites in Istanbul, and we're not talking about flights, you know, around the state. These are international flights that he got. And what the government needs to prove in court is that it was a quid pro quo. And so what they lay out is what they wanted, which was a quick and easy approval by the fire department for a skyrise for the Turkish consulate that prosecutors alleged Adams pushed through and pressured the fire chief for this. You know, there have been a lot of rumors swirling around. We were aware of a lot of these allegations, but it's fascinating to see this laid out in a narrative that we can read. And this looks like a more than 3 years long investigation that U.S. Attorney Damian Williams has been carrying out. So there are a lot of details in here, and a lot of details included. We don't always see this level of detail, but it's fascinating.
And that's that's part of why I made the point that the federal government doesn't bring these charges lightly. You would not bring such serious charges against a sitting mayor of the biggest city in the country unless you were confident in your case. I have the indictment in my hands, and it is thick. It seems as heavy as a book. It is extremely detailed. I just want to show that to our viewers. This isn't like a simple page. It's multiple pages, this indictment. And I think we also have another live shot we're tracking for you of the Southern District of New York, which itself is expected to address the public, address the press, take questions, and lay out their case as they see it against the mayor. You're seeing that now on the right hand of your screen. As soon as it happens, we will bring it to you live. On the left, you're seeing supporters of Mayor Adams, who has yet to directly speak to what was in this indictment. He has generally said he is innocent. He denies these charges, but we do expect once he's in a courtroom and once his team gets in front of a judge to hear the specifics of how and why he's innocent. Again, the federal government says he's guilty, and they seem to have extensive evidence showing as much. We're also joined by CBS News contributor Rebecca Roife, who has been watching this all unfold. And Rebecca, it's a remarkable moment in American history as we all watch now for each side to make its case. We know what the federal government is charging. What jumps out to you at this moment? The mayor has not mentioned specifics yet. And in fact, Rebecca, stand by for us because I think the mayor might now take questions. Let's listen to what he's saying.
Last night with regard to speaking out about the migrant crisis. Exactly who in the federal government, White House, did you say is targeting you for speaking out? We're talking about the Biden administration, or we're talking about Homeland Security? So who are we talking about specifically with regard to that, and the first time you actually read this indictment today?
I think that your second question, I think you need to ask the federal prosecutors who gave the directive in the orders. I don't know. We should ask them who gave the directive in orders that we're going to take on and create this group of lies. They have the answer to that question. When it comes down to reading it, I peruse through it to get the top lines. The attorneys are going to dig into the crevices of it, but it is clear. Everyone that knows me knows I follow campaign rules and I follow the law. That is how I lived my life, and I don't see coming into the 60s and my age to all of a sudden change what I've done all the time. I follow the law and I follow the campaign rules.
Thank you!
After a couple of weeks, some like 4 or 5 people from your staff have resigned. After today, don't you feel afraid that more people are going to keep resigning and you're going to have some problems dealing with the city?
No. Listen, I think that people fail to properly realize that we have over 300,000 dedicated employees. Over 300,000. Those who decided to transition and do some more things with their lives, many of them told me ahead of time they were going to do that. But we have an amazing, credible team of dedicated New Yorkers, and they're going to continue to do that. I think that's what's going to surprise everyone. 10 months ago, when my phones were removed, like today it was about my phones. Same thing that happened 10 months ago. Today was about my phones. Let's get clear on that. When they removed my phones 10 months ago, people said that all of a sudden the city was going to collapse. It was not going to move forward. Look what has happened over 10 months. Over 10 months, more jobs in the city history, more small businesses open, decreasing crime. You're seeing over and over again success over and over again. So we're going to continue to prosper. We're going to continue to move forward, and we're looking forward to that in the city. Yes. How are you doing? Yes. Well, listen, I think that when you do an analysis, and all of you have covered this, it is a felony to release a grand jury communications. That's a felony. So you can't break the law to enforce the law. And when you look at when you look at the drip of information, when you look at our cooperation, our attempts to sit down and cooperate, when you look at what has taken place, there's been a narrative of giving the appearance that there was something improper that's done and it was just wrong. No, well, I think we should ask again, as I stated earlier. We should ask those who are conducting this investigation. We should ask them who gave the directive to carry out what we have witnessed over the last 10 months.
Right.
Over the last 10 months, you knew information before my attorneys knew information over the last 10 months. You reported that there was an indictment before my attorneys knew that there was an indictment. Over the last 10 months, this has happened over and over again, and this is not how our system of justice should operate.
You support law enforcement.
Yeah.
You support the feds.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Yes.
Mayor, the indictment has been unsealed. Now we know the federal government is looking into your campaign and supposed influences into your campaign when you decided to be mayor.
Yes.
But you have suggested publicly that now you are a target of the federal government because of sticking with New Yorkers, meaning maybe that you're talking about the migrants. Can you clarify that point?
I think I did. I think we should ask the federal investigators and prosecutors who gave the directive to take the actions that we are witnessing right now. I have ran many campaigns. I have been part of many campaigns. And the scrutiny of those campaigns always revealed the same thing. I follow the rules. I follow the law. I do not do anything that's going to participate in illegal campaign activity, and I will not do that. And I've instructed, not only in writing, but in verbal conversations to the team, we do not participate in straw donors. We do not participate in foreign donors. We know what those rules are, and we comply with those rules. And I think that my attorneys are going to reveal that as we move forward.
Mayor, who is your point person dealing with major city business as you deal with this? That's number one. And number two, is there any circumstance by which you would resign?
No, listen, I'm here. I was elected by the people of this city, over 700,000 strong. Absolutely. And this is a city that is extremely resilient. This is a city that we have gone through some difficult and hard times, and we're going to continue to move forward as a city. And that's what that's shown. I think the narrative here that's missing, 10 months ago when my phones were removed, we have not gone backwards. We have not stood still. We showed how we operate during difficult times. And when you say who's the point person that's going to deal with business communities, who's going to deal with the business of running the city, the point person is Eric Adams. I'm the mayor of the city of New York. And I have a competent team, of deputy mayors, a competent team of people who are going to continue to lead forward. And we're excited about that. Okay, go ahead, Katie. Yeah.
Say this is retaliation for speaking out against the migrant crisis, but according to the indictment, it dates back to your 2021 campaign, the name of co-conspirator, you said you deleted messages from. I mean, the allegations seem to go in line with what we've been reporting for at least a year, almost a year. What do you say to that? I mean, you said you traveled to these countries. Do you deny that you took any kickbacks from these countries? Do you deny that you intervened on behalf of the government? What is your question?
Yeah, that's elaborate question. Listen, my legal team. Thank you. My legal team is going to peruse the entire indictment. We got it today. When it was released, the news media received information before we did, as they have been receiving for the last 10 months. It appears as though the goal is to try this case publicly and not in the criminal justice system that's in place. And so based on what I read, it's clear that if it's campaign violations, I know I don't violate the campaign.
That's right.
If it's foreign donors, I know I don't take money from foreign donors. And I verbalize that to the team, both in writing and both in communication. And we will continue to do that. And we look forward for the legal team to handle this as I handle the city of New York and continue the success that we've witnessed in the last 2 years and 9 months as the mayor of the city of New York. Thank you very much.
You are watching CBS News 24/7's continuing coverage of this breaking development. The mayor of New York City, defiant, denying the allegations from the federal government that he has been accused of bribery and conspiracy and a real misuse, widespread misuse of campaign funds in order to secure his position as mayor and his election. And then once he was mayor, says the federal government, he then continued to offer favors to those who put him, in their words, in office. He says that he follows campaign laws, he follows the rules. He did not participate in violating campaign finance laws either. And he says he will say as much in front of a judge as this case unfolds. On the right of your screen, you're seeing a live shot of the Southern District of New York, where the federal government will speak to the indictment that was just unsealed approximately 1 hour ago. I'm Errol Barnett at Studio 57. I'm joined by Anna Schechter, who's been looking through all of this information. And Anna, as we were watching this, you kind of had a reaction to the mayor saying, I'm completely innocent. I follow campaign finance laws. He also says he doesn't participate in this straw polling, which is outlined in the indictment. Why is that such a significant denial from your point of view, based on the evidence you've seen and that CBS News has obtained?
It's a flat-out denial of exactly the charge that is laid out in great detail in the indictment. So I think we both just sort of jumped like, whoa, that's exactly what they've laid out. And they have a lot of information about who was contributing the money, who were the straw donors. And there's also been reporting over the last year about people who were questioned, who were cooperating with this federal investigation, specifically pertaining to straw donors to his mayoral campaign in 2021. The other thing that's interesting about the indictment is some of the allegations go back to 2017 and 2018, and these perks, it sort of tells a story of him building relationships with these foreign entities, foreign groups, groups close to the leaders of foreign countries, in particular Turkey, and that happened over time. There was this quid pro quo. So he received these perks and the money for his campaign, and in return, he pressured the fire chief to approve a building. This is a very expensive proposition, a huge high-rise that did not pass the fire code. It failed the fire code. And according to the indictment, Adams told then fire chief that he would lose his job if he did not approve this building. So that level of detail is all laid out in this indictment.
And that's what makes this so stunning. We're seeing a replay of the mayor making these denials that we're now analyzing on the left of our screen. On the right, it's the federal government's evidence. I think they have an image of the tower in question and a timeline. They say, I'll just read the first line from their indictment. Eric Adams, for nearly a decade, sought to accept improper valuable benefits such as luxury international travel, including from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. This isn't about one check, one incident, or one gift. They're laying out an entire conspiratorial scheme. And a reminder for our viewers, as soon as that press conference begins, we'll bring it to you live. What else jumps out at you as far as the specificity of the charges and what we've been able to confirm at CBS News?
What's interesting to me is we're looking at a mayor who rose up through the ranks. He was a police officer years, rose into a leadership role at NYPD, stepped in as a borough president, and then ultimately mayor of New York City. He was very flamboyant, loved to be out and about town, man about town, and yet for most politicians, there's this gut check of if this foreign government is giving me this money or these perks, you kind of just have a gut feeling, okay, wait, I want to, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. There are very clear campaign finance laws that restrict foreign governments influencing our elections. Now, it seems to me that he was aware from this indictment, I take away, he was aware that there was something fishy about it, and the indictment says that he worked to conceal the gifts and to conceal the perks and the money and this sort of straw operation that he had where different people would give a little bit of money, but it was really going back to illegal campaign donations.
So it's both the crime and the cover-up.
Yes.
We see some individuals just approaching the podium. We'll bring that to our viewers as soon as they speak, but these are serious charges. This is historic when it comes to an American city, let alone the largest American city. This is the sitting mayor. He made commentary that, look, for the past 10 months, he says crime is down, small businesses are opening, and that he's running the city. So we now have a confluence of these two major facts. He is the mayor of the city, and he's facing very serious charges. Let's listen to the Southern District of New York.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for gathering. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, we are announcing campaign finance, bribery, and conspiracy charges against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. As the indictment alleges, Mayor Adams engaged in a long-running conspiracy in which he solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors and corporations. As we allege, Mayor Adams took these contributions even though he knew they were illegal, and even though he knew these contributions were attempts by a Turkish government official and Turkish businessmen to buy influence with him. We also allege that the mayor sought and accepted well over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from some of the same foreign actors who arranged many of the illegal campaign contributions. These benefits included free international business class flights and opulent hotel rooms in foreign cities. The mayor had a duty to disclose these gifts on his annual public disclosure forms so that the public could see who was giving him what. But as we allege, year after year after year, he kept the public in the dark. He told the public he received no gifts, even though he was secretly being showered with them. We allege that Adams accepted these benefits knowing that they were given to him because of his position. And in exchange for some of those improper benefits, he intervened in the New York City Fire Department's inspection process for a building owned and operated by the Turkish government, allowing it to open even though it had not passed the fire inspection. The corruption alleged in the indictment is, as I said, long-running. As we allege in the indictment, Adams' solicitation of illegal campaign contributions began in 2018. After he started raising funds for his 2021 mayoral campaign, he agreed to take contributions offered by multiple Turkish businessmen, several of whom he met in Turkey. Adams knew that these wealthy individuals could not legally donate in a U.S. election. Federal law clearly prohibits foreign donations. That's how we protect our elections from foreign influence. Yet Adams directed his staff to pursue this illegal money to support his campaign for mayor. And as we allege, Adams continued to pursue foreign money in secret well into 2021. And it didn't stop with his first campaign for mayor. As we allege, in 2023, the mayor rekindled these corrupt relationships, seeking more illegal campaign contributions from some of the same foreign sources to support his re-election campaign. Adams also took contributions that broke other laws. As we allege, he sought contributions from businessmen far in excess of what the law allowed. He also allegedly sought contributions from corporations, which are not allowed to contribute at all in New York City elections. Many of those illegal corporate contributions were organized by the same people who organized the illegal foreign contributions. And Adams allegedly disguised them all in the same way by accepting the money through so-called straw donors. A straw donor contributes someone else's money, hiding the money's illegal source, such as a foreign businessman, a corporation, or a wealthy New Yorker who has already contributed the maximum amount allowed. And as we allege, Adams circumvented all of these laws, taking contributions from exactly the sources the law prohibits, all to benefit his mayoral campaigns. Now, Adams also personally benefited from the illegal conduct alleged in the indictment. Adams solicited and accepted over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits for years from wealthy Turkish business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. Adams started accepting undisclosed luxury travel benefits at least as early as 2016. He took these benefits nearly every year through 2021. Here are some of the benefits that we uncovered during our investigation. In 2016, Adams flew to India through Turkey and received 2 free round-trip upgrades for business class seats. That's the highest class on Turkey's national airline. Those upgrades were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2017, Adams accepted free business class tickets for himself and his travel companions to France, Turkey, and China. And he was put up in the Bentley suite in the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. All of that was worth more than $41,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. Also in 2017, he flew to China, again, through Turkey, and accepted 2 free business class tickets for himself and a companion. Those were worth more than $16,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2018, he flew to Hungary through Turkey and accepted free upgrades for business class seats. Those were worth more than $12,000, and none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2019, he flew to Turkey and accepted a free upgrade to business class for his companion and a free stay in a lavish suite at the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul. That was worth more than $9,000. And again, none of it was publicly disclosed. In 2021, Adams solicited business class tickets to Istanbul, stays at luxury hotels and resorts, yacht tours, and meals. As we allege, he asked to pay a nominal fee for all of this in order to disguise what we allege were in fact bribes. He canceled that trip at the very last minute, but the benefits that he solicited were worth more than $21,000. And later in 2021, Adams flew to Ghana, again, through Turkey, and accepted free business class ticket upgrades and other gifts while he was on a layover in Istanbul. Those benefits were worth more than $12,000. And just like all the other benefits I've just run through, none of it was publicly disclosed. Now, I want to be clear. These upgrades and freebies were not part of some frequent flyer or loyalty program available to the general public. As we allege, this was a multi-year scheme to buy favor with a single New York City politician on the rise, Eric Adams. Now, this is a chart with all of the undisclosed travel benefits that we uncovered during the investigation. We just list it all out here. You see the year, 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2 in 2021. The destination, India all the way to Ghana. The benefits, the free upgrades or free tickets altogether, the hotel stays, and the value. And if you just sum up all the dollar amounts here, you get to more than $100,000. And of course, as I said before, every single trip that we list here was undisclosed. As we allege in the indictment, in addition to not disclosing these benefits, Adams sometimes created fake paper trails to try to cover up the travel benefits he solicited and received. Let me give you one example. Adams wrote emails to his staff suggesting he paid for his 2017 business class flights on the Turkish airline when, as we allege, he did not. Those flights were worth a lot of money. Just one ticket alone cost more than $10,000. But months after taking the flights, Adams wrote an email to a staff member and told the staff member that he had left cash in her desk drawer and that she should send the money to the Turkish airline to pay for a trip he had already taken. As the indictment makes clear, that's just a clumsy cover-up. Now, just because Adams received benefits for free, that doesn't mean that there weren't strings attached. As we allege, a particular Turkish government official behind many of the benefits Adams sought and accepted gave Adams all these things to gain influence over him. We allege that Adams knew that and took the benefits anyway. We allege that when the Turkish government official needed him, Adams also took corrupt official action in exchange for some of the luxury travel benefits. In 2021, the Turkish government official was trying to open a brand new high-rise building in Manhattan that would house Turkey's consulate. There was significant time pressure because the Turkish official desperately needed the building to be open in time for a visit from Turkey's president. This building was important to the Turkish official, and it was important to Turkey. But the FDNY's fire safety professionals wouldn't let the building open because the building hadn't passed an inspection. And not just that. Some of the people at the FDNY thought the building had so many issues and defects that the building was not safe to occupy. So the Turkish official sent word to Adams that it was, quote, his turn, unquote, to support Turkey. And as we allege, Adams delivered and pressured the fire department to let the building open. The FDNY professionals were convinced that they would lose their jobs if they didn't back down. And so they did. They got out of the way and let the building open. The Turkish official got what he wanted, and as we explained in the indictment, just 4 days after Adams held up his end of the bargain, he went right back to soliciting more travel benefits from the Turkish airline. Now, I want to make 3 things crystal clear. First, the conduct alleged in the indictment, the foreign money, the corporate money, the bribery, the years of concealment, is a grave breach of the public's trust. Public office is a privilege. We allege that Mayor Adams abused that privilege and broke the law. Laws that are designed to ensure that officials like him serve the people, not the highest bidder, not a foreign bidder, and certainly not a foreign power. These are bright red lines, and we allege that the mayor crossed them again and again for years. That is the only reason we are here today. Second, this investigation continues. We continue to dig, and we will hold more people accountable. And I encourage anyone with information to come forward and to do so before it is too late. And third, the Southern District of New York remains committed to rooting out corruption without fear or favor and without regard to partisan politics. We are not focused on the right or the left. We are focused only on right and wrong. That is our duty, and we will fulfill it. Now, today's charges are the product of a tremendous partnership. I want to thank our partners at FBI and the New York City Department of Investigation who have been with us every step of the way. And finally, I want to commend the outstanding career prosecutors from SDNY who are handling this case. Celia Cohen, Andrew Rohrbach, Hagen Scotton, and Derek Wickstrom, and the chiefs of the Public Corruption Unit, Laura Pomerantz and Robert Sobelman. It's now my pleasure to turn the podium over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, James Dennehy.
Good morning, and thank you for being here today. The indictment of a sitting mayor is not just another headline. It is a stinging reminder that no one is above the law or beyond reproach. And it serves as a sobering moment for all of us who place our trust in elected officials. Today's indictment sends a powerful message to every elected official in this country. Public service is a profound responsibility and should be a noble calling. When that's perverted by greed and dishonesty, it robs us of our trust. It's a pact between leaders and their communities, built on the pillars of trust, accountability, and transparency. When that pact is broken, the consequences ripple far beyond one office or one election cycle. We know not all leaders are corrupt. We know there are countless public servants who wake up every day with the intention of doing right by their constituents. But we cannot ignore the shadow cast by moments like this. When trust is eroded, it takes years, sometimes decades, to rebuild. The weight of today's actions falls not just on the indicted official, but on every other public official who must now work harder to earn the public's confidence in them. It's important to remember accountability isn't just about punishing those with alleged wrongdoings. It's about lifting the communities they've let down. It's about rebuilding, restoring, and reimagining what public servants can and should do. It's up to us to demand more from our leaders, to hold them to the highest standards, and to remind them that the power of public office should never be abused. While some may be disappointed today, let me encourage you not to be defeated. The strength of our communities, our faith in one another, and our collective resilience are far greater than the alleged failings of any one individual. In closing, I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, and his office, Commissioner Jocelyn Strauber, and the New York City Department of Investigation and her team, as well as my team, the Public Corruption Squad here at FBI New York. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome up Commissioner Jocelyn Strauber from the New York City Department of Investigation.
Thank you, Damian. Good morning. Today, for the first time in New York City's modern history, we announce criminal charges against the sitting mayor of New York City. As our highest elected official, the mayor should set the standard for all of city government and exemplify the integrity, transparency, and dedication to serving the public that all New Yorkers deserve. Instead, the indictment unsealed today alleges that Mayor Adams abused his power and position for nearly a decade as Brooklyn Borough President and as mayor to enrich himself and his mayoral campaigns. As charged, he sought and received illegal campaign contributions, luxury travel, and other personal benefits from foreign nationals, as well as individuals and businesses. He allegedly took steps to conceal those illegal contributions and personal benefits and involved city employees and campaign staff in that concealment. As the indictment explains, this kind of corruption has real costs to the city and to the public. As alleged, the mayor's 2021 campaign falsely certified compliance with campaign finance laws in order to conceal those illegal campaign contributions, and as a result of those false certifications, received over $10 million in public matching funds. The mayor's alleged acceptance and concealment of illegal contributions and personal benefits gave overseas benefactors, wealthy individuals, and businesses undue influence over the mayor, influence that federal and local laws seek to prevent. And as charged, in exchange for certain personal benefits, the mayor pressured the New York City Fire Department to forego a required fire safety inspection before the opening of the new Turkish consulate building. As the city's Inspector General, the Department of Investigation, a city agency, conducts its investigations confidentially and wholly independent of City Hall. We handled this investigation as we would any other, following the facts and seeking to hold wrongdoers accountable no matter their role or title. Our unique access to city records and expertise in matters of city government make us a critical partner in the fight to root out corruption, working closely with our law enforcement colleagues at the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. If you have information about this case or about illegal conduct by any New York City official or employee, I encourage you to contact DOI by email at tipline@doi.nyc.gov or by phone at 212-825-2828. I want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York and the FBI for their partnership on this investigation. And I want to recognize and thank the dedicated, hardworking DOI investigators who are handling this matter. Senior Inspector General Eleanor Rivkin, Inspector General Audrey Feldman, Deputy Inspectors General Arturo Sanchez and Trenton Sweeney, and their supervisors, Deputy Commissioners Christopher Ryan and Dominic Zarella. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Can you just say, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Eric Adams has said he's not going to resign. He said that this is a witch hunt because
CBS News 24/7. It is a busy news day, and we are starting it off with some breaking news here in New York City. I'm Lana Zach.
And I'm Errol Barnett. We've been watching really history unfold. Federal officials from the Southern District of New York and the FBI, just with specificity, laid out serious charges against the current sitting mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. He is now charged with bribery, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, illegal campaign contributions from foreign nationals, and an additional count of wire fraud. And they specified that some of this has to do with flights, international flights totaling $100,000 that were undisclosed to the American people, and that they say were a method of these donors currying favor with a man who was trying to become mayor, became mayor, and then he continued to cover up that these campaign contributions had been illegally made.
This indictment stems back to 2014 when Eric Adams was the Brooklyn Borough president. For his part, New York City Mayor Adams was speaking earlier. He said, "Everyone who knows me knows I follow campaign rules and I follow the law." He has denied the charges against him. We have team coverage, including CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi, CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schechter, who's here with us in the studio, as well as Joe Anuta. He's a reporter covering City Hall for Politico New York.
Anna, let's start with you. You've been here on set as this has all been really unfolding. We're all watching this happen. The mayor says he's innocent. He's never taken illegal campaign funds. And the thing about covering it up, he says, you know, that's not something that he's done either. But CBS News has been able to look at some of the evidence here. Why will it be challenging for him to prove that he didn't do any of these things?
Well, the level of detail in this indictment is staggering. You see it's this enormous stack of papers. And what prosecutors have done is listed out tens of thousands of dollars in flights. They have the receipts for those flights to Hungary, to France, to China, often to India, oftentimes flying through Istanbul, staying in a suite, a luxury suite in Istanbul, all of that. CBS News, our team, Emmett Lyons, has also looked through opensecrets.org. We see big $5,000 contribution chunks from Turkish citizens, and we're working to, match those details to what we see laid out in the indictment. But clearly, he worked for a period of time to build these relationships, and you see in text messages, excerpts of phone calls and emails, this relationship building where people close to Erdogan were working to curry favor with him, and he was essentially taking the bait and enjoying all of these perks, enjoying these business class tickets, enjoying the hotel suites. And the prosecutors are laying out that he knew that they were trying to curry favor with him, and he did it anyway.
Caroline, I want to bring you into this conversation as well, given your role as a legal contributor. So it sounds like the Southern District has laid out two different, among all the charges, two different real issues, that there are these travel benefits that the mayor and then borough president had received that he didn't disclose, but that there were also these campaign contributions that he used these straw donors in order to receive matching contributions to which he wasn't entitled, totaling $10 million in public matching funds. Of those two allegations, what's the more serious allegations that he's facing now?
Well, they're all serious. I mean, this is a 57-page indictment with 5 counts. The bribery is probably the more serious. The campaign finance law violation is probably on the lesser side. But those straw donations, essentially, getting illegal funds from New Yorkers to the tune of $10 million is just staggering. And Damian Williams, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, clearly has this case very buttoned up. I mean, you saw that, he had this slide there to his side laying out all the benefits that Mayor Adams had received. And he outlined really an almost decades-long period in which Adams cultivated these relationships, got the benefits. And then, I would just note that the illegal campaign contributions, bribery notwithstanding, are in and of themselves crimes. And so you heard Mayor Adams there really sort of aggressively belligerent in his indignation with respect to these investigators seizing his phones 10 months ago, and then this morning seizing his phones. We heard a statement from his lawyer, Alex Spiro, who is a real bulldog, I will tell you. And, that's what happens in federal criminal investigations. This is not out of the ordinary in that, Adams was complaining he had heard nothing about, these charges prior. He was left in the dark. Well, that's what happens. Criminal defendants and targets of criminal investigations are left in the dark. He was complaining about, information being leaked. Now, unclear who or whether or not that can be tied back to the prosecutor's office, but these are typical things that happen. His lawyer said they stormed his, Gracie Mansion this morning to get his phones when they would have happily turned them over. Well, that's not really how it works. I mean, they have to use the element of surprise so that they can get every bit of information. So you have two sides here. I mean, Adams, he is entitled to due process. He is innocent until proven guilty, and he will have his day in court. But we'll just see how this plays out.
And just to reset for our viewers, it is noon here in New York City. We're covering this breaking story of the sitting mayor being indicted by the federal government for bribery and other charges. The indictment unsealed a short time ago. It's about as heavy as a brick. Lana Zach is with me. We've got our panel of Anna Schechter. You just heard Caroline Polisi, and we have Joe Anuda with Politico as well. Joe, let me get a question to you. You cover City Hall for Politico. For about 10 months, my sources in City Hall have been texting me, expecting an indictment of the mayor a long time ago. We've seen his inner circle being wrapped up in their own charges. How much has this impacted the business of the city, and where is the pressure for him to step down?
Well, I think to start, the business of the city has been greatly impacted, I would say. I mean, just over the last couple of weeks, we've seen major figures in the administration resign because of various federal investigations. Separate from what seems to, the focus of today's indictment, the school's chancellor resigned. The New York City Police Commissioner resigned. The mayor's chief lawyer resigned sort of late on a Saturday night. Those all have to do with separate probes into potential wrongdoing at City Hall. And I think having chaos at the top of these agencies, it's very hard to get things done for really all the public servants who are just trying to do the business of the city on any given day. So I think the impact is great, and we're going to be seeing sort of the fallout of that as the days go on. And so, sorry, what was the other question you asked?
Well, that's exactly it, the business of the city. So considering everything you've just laid out, where is the pressure for him to step down? He says he's completely innocent, and there's no need to.
Well, I think the press conference we saw is actually very interesting. The pressure to step down, and really largely the criticism to date has come from a lot of the mayor's typical political foes. It comes from more of the left wing of the Democratic Party here. You saw AOC calling the mayor to resign yesterday, and really a lot of the sort of prominent figures in the city's left. And so I think the mayor, when he put his press conference together today, has his own show of support, and I think it's very telling about who's calling on him to resign and who isn't yet. I don't think we've seen these calls reach his political base as of yet, which I think is important for him. And I think as long as he has the support of that base, he will not resign. It's not really his style as someone who's covered him for a couple of years. And I think to some extent, when you have people who he considers his political enemies calling on him to resign, I think that can play into his messaging to his base to say, look, these folks who already don't like me, now they're using allegations that haven't even been proven in court to try and get me out of office.
And that's an important point, that our legal system professes a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Joe, do talk to us, though, about the role that the governor, Kathy Hochul, could potentially play in deciding whether or not the New York City's mayor does, in fact, remain in office.
So The governor has the power to remove the mayor, right? That's something that legally she could do. I don't think it's ever been done. And I think if you take a step back and look at the relationship between the two, the governor and the mayor have been very close allies. So there have been a lot of fights going on in Albany for sort of, this is outside the city's legislative process, but something the mayor is very interested in. He and the governor have been very strong allies, pushing back against the legislature on a number of issues, on housing, on criminal justice reforms. I think the governor has found in her own runs for office, she has kind of a weakness in New York in certain neighborhoods, and in fact, the very same neighborhoods that support the mayor. So there has been a very strong political alliance here. You really never hear the mayor say a bad word about the governor and vice versa. So I think the calculations in the governor's office right now are very interesting. I think it will take a lot for her to come out after the mayor, even publicly. And I think trying to extrapolate that out to whether she would actually remove him from office, I think it would take a lot just based on their past relationship. They're very close, at least sort of publicly.
All right, Joe Anuda, thank you. Also, our thanks to Anna Schechter, Caroline Polisi. We are going to continue to follow this story. We'll have more questions for you. Certainly, as we have the latest developments, we will check back in with you all.
Yeah, thank you all. And the Adams indictment, that's just one breaking news story we're following for you right now, because at this moment, we're just hours away from Hurricane Helene, expected to make landfall in Florida.
And that's right. That's expected to happen along the Gulf Coast this evening. The storm is projected to hit hardest near Tallahassee. It could escalate to a Category 4 hurricane. Surrounding areas will also feel the impact.
Now, as you've been watching through our reporting, folks in Florida have been preparing for days, and now it's those last-minute preparations underway in the western part of the state. There, a state of emergency has been declared. Officials now advising people who haven't evacuated to stay right where you are.
CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bajorquez is tracking the